Hello, everyone, and welcome to my very first podcast episode in the series on childhood mental health. I'm excited to begin this journey with you by exploring one of the most commonly diagnosed disorders, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. Over the course of this episode, I'll explain what ADHD is, what symptoms children often display, what research tells us about its causes, and what treatment options are available. I'll also share why I believe it's so important for parents, teachers, and society as a whole to understand this condition. Now we're going to step into why ADHD matters. So why focus on ADHD? For one, it's one of the most prevalent childhood mental ill diagnoses. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention estimate that about 6 million children in the United States have been diagnosed with ADHD. That's roughly 10% of school-aged kids. Because it's so common, chances are that most of us know someone, a classmate, sibling, or even our own child, who is affected by ADHD. Understanding ADHD matters because it directly impacts academic performance, relationship with peers, family dynamics, and self-esteem. Children who are misunderstood or untreated often face stigma, disciplinary action at school, or labeled as lazy or troublemakers, when in reality, they are struggling with a recognized neurodevelopment disorder. By learning about ADHD, we can shift blame to support, which ultimately improves outcome for these kids and their life. Now the symptoms. Now let's break down the symptoms. According to the DSM-5, ADHD falls into three main presentations: predominantly inattentive, predominantly hyperactive, impulsive, and combined presentation where they have the two both. Children with inattentive symptoms may not have trouble sustaining attention in tasks, make careless mistakes, lose things frequently, and seem like they are not listening even when spoken to directly. A child might sit in a class and drift off, miss important instructions, or leave homework incomplete simply because their focus slips away. On the other hand, children with hyperactive impulsive symptoms are often described as always on the go. They may fidget, have difficulty staying seated, talk excessively, blurt out answers, or interrupt others. In some cases, the impulsivity can lead to safety concerns, such as running into the street without thinking. Many children show a combination of both inattentive and hyperactive behaviors. Importantly, these behaviors must be persistent, occur in more than one setting, like home and school, and cause real impairment in a daily functioning to meet diagnostic criteria. These are the causes. So what causes ADHD? Research suggests is a complex interplay of biological, genetic, and environmental factors. Biologically, studies show difference in brain structure and activity in children with ADHD. For example, areas of the brain that control attention, planning, and impulse regulation, such as the prefrontal cortex, often develop differently. Neurotransmitter systems, particularly dopamine, also play a role in regulating focus and motivation. Genetics are another major factor. ADHD tends to run in families, with heritability estimates around 70 to 80%. If a parent has ADHD, their child is more likely to be diagnosed as well. Finally, environmental influences contribute too. Prenatal exposure to alcohol, tobacco smoke, or lead, as well as premature birth or low birth weight, have been linked to its increased risks. It's important to stress, however, that ADHD is not caused by bad parenting or too much sugar, which are common myths. Here are some of the treatments. Thankfully, there are effective treatments available. The most widely researched approaches combine medication, behavioral therapy, and school-based intervention. Medications, particularly stimulants like methylphenidate, Ritalin, or amphetamines such as Adderall, are often prescribed. These medications work by increasing dopamine and norepinephrine activity in the brain, which helps children sustain attention and control impulses. For some families, non-stimulant medications like atoxamine are better options. Behavioral therapy is equally important. This includes parent training programs that teach strategies for managing challenging behaviors and reinforcing positive ones. Children can also benefit from therapy sessions that focus on organization, coping, and social skills, which allow them to build the infrastructure for a successful life. Schools play a big role too. Many children with ADHD qualify for accommodations through 504 plans or individualized education programs like we've learned in the class. These may include extra time on tests, sitting near the teacher, or breaks during long tasks. Overall, the best outcome happens when treatment is individualized and involves collaboration between families, schools, and healthcare providers. Why I chose ADHD. I chose ADHD as my focus because of how misunderstood it often is. I too suffer from ADHD, and I find it to be very challenging sometimes, but with the help of my support system, I'm able to manage and work towards a goal in my life of success and driven focus. Too many children are dismissed as simply being lazy, disruptive, or bad kids. In reality, they are struggling with a condition that affects how their brains process information and regulate behavior. Two areas I'm especially interested in ADHD because it sits at the intersection of psychology and education, two areas that shape a child's future in powerful ways. By increasing awareness, we can help children get the right support and prevent long-term challenges like academic failure or low self-esteem, because ADHD can trigger many other forms of illnesses that can basically adapt and change the way you feel about yourself. To wrap up, let's conclude here. ADHD in children is a highly prevalent and impactful disorder that affects millions of families worldwide. By learning about the symptoms, understanding the biological and environmental causes, and recognizing the effectiveness of treatments, we can shift from stigma to support. My hope is that this podcast series helps you see ADHD not as a flaw, but as a challenge that can be managed with the right tool. Thank you for listening, and be sure to join me for the next episode where we'll dive deeper into how ADHD affects social relationships and developments in children. Thank you.